What's up, guys? Y'all are going to be doing some training with me, which is supposed to be Terra Normal. Okay. I'm going to be using one team no more than 4 times. And the goal of this training session is just to get more acclimated with the meta, that we can prepare for when OLT runs out and we can give a proper run to the #1 shot. Currently, I'm not ready. Just not aware enough. My skills aren't sharp enough. Just not good enough. But it's a specific formula that I use. This has happened numerous times over the last decade. Whenever I'd leave for a long time, I'd get tournament ready by picking a very offensive team that has decent holes. It can't be too good because I'll lean too much on the team. And when the tour time comes, well, that's never happened before, but you know, my team shouldn't be carrying me too much, which is why I always have it be somewhat of a shitty team. So that being said, we're going to go into this training session and aim to destroy everyone in our sight using processes we know. So we're going to lean into potentially a Dragonite sweep here. Seems to be the most reliable, most likely. And for that to happen, I would need certain conditions, man. I don't know the damage roll on Kingdra. No, he doesn't guard well against Ghost. So phase 1 is going to evolve. Phase 1 is going to evolve because I'm just not at the skill level yet. My brain is not sharp enough at this point to where I can just break apart an opponent's team at team preview. And so I'm not going to pretend that I am. Excuse me. He goes for Ice Hammer. I didn't even know that shit got that. That's kind of cool. What did I just have in Dragon Ball? So he was just trying to Ice Hammer Dragon Ball. Fair enough. As the Great Tusk comes in, as I said, he doesn't guard well against Ghost. But he also doesn't guard well against is Ogerpon. Now, in a case like this, somebody would go, "Oh well, Jim, just go Ogerpon," you know. Blah, blah, blah. Instead of Dragapult, and it's really just reminding ourselves, and this is something I'm reminding myself. That's why I said training session. In this moment is where people go into reaction mode. So you pause. You remind yourself of 2 things. What's the objective? To sweep with Dragonite. Okay, if the objective is sweeping with Dragonite, what's the game plan? To sweep with Dragonite, we need the Tinkaton Office Balloon, right? We need the Great Tusk weakened to where we can extreme speed. These 2 probably don't matter as much. And so the Great Tusk need to be weakened enough to where we need the extreme speed. So let's not focus on him rapid spinning, headlong rushing, or any of that. It's what do I need to do to get this Great Tusk to the point where we can destroy him with rapid spin. So can he guard against the Ogerpon? Somewhat. Not great. But he'd be able to go to Kingdra after this. So let's say we were to go to Valiant right now. The reason Valiant makes sense is because we're in a hold up position that he cannot defend against. If he headlong rushes, then Valiant survives. If he doesn't headlong rush and rapid spin, Valiant would still be in a great spot offensively. But Valiant is also not necessary for us to win. Why? Because he has the Barraskewda and Kingdra, and no amount of booster is going to do anything. And so Tinkaton will get 2 KO'd here. Oh. I was sadly mistaken. I expected a 2 KO. That's okay though. And the conditions I need met have been met. And so rapid spin, and now that I've confirmed that it's headlong rush, I can safely go to my Dragapult. Because even if you were to headlong rush again, it doesn't make much of a difference. Because then I'd get the free switch on the rain turn. So knock, I didn't expect knock. I get the free switch on the rain turn with the Ogerpon. And so now he's in a position where he has to either terrestrialize. Then again, I should have thought about this more. Again, the key is to weaken this Great Tusk. I'm debating whether or not it's even worth. By Swords Dance and he goes Pelipper. That won't solve anything. Because he'll just go Tinkaton. It's actually better here to just Ivy Cudgel directly. So he terrestrializes. So we force a Terra. We get a crit there and he gets to rapid spin. That doesn't make a difference. That doesn't change anything about the game. He's Ice Spin or Headlong Rush. As far as our Dragonite prevailing, that is, right? And I can always just get back to rocks. So Dragonite, I'll need the rocks up to comfortably sweep with Dragonite, but we forced the terrestrialization, which is great. And here it either have to Ice Spinner or, and he's also a very Iron Moth weak, Terraground Iron Moth. But I need the sub for that to get a lot of value out. So we need a bit more damage. Yes, close combat. Did not expect close combat. So he's 4 attacks, Tusk. Interesting. Okay, so I'd expect a Tinkaton sack. Actually outside a Pelipper. I'm surprised by that, but that's fine because this allows for the Pelipper. He has to go for the Surf, right? And the conditions, we also need the Pelipper weaken for my Dragonite. So he goes to the Tinkaton. Under the rain, would Tinkaton still die? Probably. Boost? No boost. No boost is big, but because the Barraskewda wouldn't be able to just go for what he wants here. But, you know, it is what it is. Maybe a great sack here. He opts for Kingdra. Actually, my Ogerpon being gone is a big deal, but the Dragonite. Now, what I do like that he did is that I probably should have sacked Valiant there. Truth be told, I'm not playing this as good as I could have, and that's because I lost track. And these are the what I'm talking about with practice session with Jam, right? I lost track of the objective, and so I'm the one playing sloppily. Would me terroring matter here? I could Dragon down. Nesting twice make a difference. A Weather Ball. Lastmon Dragonite versus Pelipper. I just don't want to deal with the Thunderclap from the. So if I were to Dragon Dance on his Weather Ball this turn, this is a very poorly executed endgame. Sure, I didn't account for the close combat, which is why the Ogerpon, but even then, I could sack the Valiant there. I should never put my Ogerpon at risk because it opens me up for. So this is a very poorly executed game. Went into autopilot mode, and I think if I just leave a little bit too much luck in the Pelipper's hands, I'd get +2 versus the Pelipper on the switch in, but I'd be very low on health to where I'll have to predict versus the. I'll have to predict versus the this helmet. I have to predict versus the. I'm Terra Dragon. That's annoying. I'm surprised he didn't Thunderclap, but I'm actually not surprised at that as well. Me not being Terra Normal here might hurt me. Yeah, especially since he's offensive and has Hurricane. Which means I die here. Ice Spinner does 60. Please, Dragonite breakthrough, yes. The fucking Terra Normal mess up is gonna cost me. If I was Terra Normal, I won. But I don't think Barraskewda goes down unless I'm Terra Normal. So ideally, it's gonna have to go to Barraskewda eventually. But yeah, that ended up I costed myself the game there by not having the Terra Normal. So the Kingdra comes in, extreme speed here. Great Tusk was a great play. So now he leaves it down to what he doesn't realize is that I don't even knock him out. So it's actually in my best interest to extreme speed anyway. But he's gonna grade us because he has to. Yeah. But I don't even knock him out. So. Oh wow, that killed. Okay. But as I said, very poorly executed game. Where I really fucked up was around the Iron Moth. I went into autopilot mode. And I want to record these because I want you guys to see that when I'm out of practice, just like there's nothing special about the Jamster, I've gotten to the point where I best on earth, right? And other people have done so. And I want you guys to realize that it wasn't because they had a fucking like super brain or some shit like that. There's a honestly the biggest difference between those who hit their goals and don't is that in these phases they have such a tight identity tied to their rank, and so it's like, oh my god, I'm not soaring at the rate I'm supposed to, so this means I'm not good enough, and it's this whole identity. So your external identity, which is your ranking, has nothing to do with your internal identity, which is your self-image. And so if you can disconnect those two, and Pokemon is the excellent game for that, because it's, well, there are many games that can do it, but the beauty of Pokemon is it's solo and there's a direct cause and effect in your rank, and so it's all on you. There's no teamness. So it's the perfect sport to go, okay, I just took a L, I'm going to train my brain, and this training will go beyond Mons. I will train my brain to go, okay, I learned, I just have to extract the data, inject it into, you know, this. If I do an official training session, we do replay reviewing. I inject the data and then I go back into the next game and do it again, right? Terragos would have been really good in this matchup on Moth. I was playing with both Terragrass, Terraground, and Terragos. We'll see. Terragos would be really good. Terraground is good too, but Ghost would have been super. Ghost would mess this one up. And it would be unespeedable. Terragos Valiant's good though. So if we were to break it down, you can't guard against Ghost. The Dragapult upon Shadow Balling is very dangerous. Dragonite upon E-Speeding is dangerous as well if I can beat down his Zamazenta quite a bit, which is a tall order, but you know, it's possible. Especially with this. The rocks are actually a really key component in this matchup because I'm going to have to lure in his Weezing and his Zamazenta quite a bit. Well, Zamazenta less so, more so the Weezing. Question is, how am I going to lure the Zamazenta in for Dragonite? I could try to lure in the Zamazenta with my Dragonite for the Ogerpon. Or I could lure him to stay in. So, value for value, bands for bands. Is this Levitate? Iron Trends. Levitate. And so, it's going to be an interesting sequence because Will-O-Wisp, Fiery Dance, Snow Boost. Boost there would have been key. Boost there would have been key, but I don't need this speed in this game. Boost there would have been nice. It's a little problematic. Fire Blast, okay, and he risked it. It actually helps. Fire Blast. Actually helps. My Dragapult is gonna have to take that. Do I have to? Is there another way? Because the Zenta. Fire Blast. Rocks are up. Get to keep this. Clef. Did not expect Clef. Oh, that does a lot. That shit is offensive. Get a fucking. So you risk the. Okay, this guy doesn't have a brain. Come on, dude, give me a boost. Are you serious? All right, yeah, It's on me. I could have. There were. So this is another example of me getting into the autopilot, and it's crazy because it's not usually the case because I usually know what things are gonna do. But the reason I'm in autopilot is because I don't have a specific game plan, and so I got caught up in the emotions of like, how am I gonna fiery dance motherfucking 4 times in a row and not one boost? One boost would have made a huge difference, to be fair. It would have been the difference between like this being a complete wash and not. Because if I did get one of the boosts, I probably would KO 2 or 3 of his mons. Fable comes in to take the shadow ball, but this game is not over, but it's gonna be harder. I'll just say that because Valiant can pull me back, but it just never needed to come to that. Honestly, this should have been just a clean. I'm really glad he went Dragonite here. Truth be told. Terra normal, fuck. Okay. I want to say +2 does not outspeed. Say earthquakes. E40 Terras already, which means my Valiant has a shot, but and give a valiant effort, as they say. It's the same shit. E-speed spam. The ice spinners. Okay. I was trying to get him to extreme speed, but this was a sloppily played game either way. This wasn't about. Now, if I can get him to extreme speed here, fearing me being, fearing me being physical. So we have our shot here, because the Wheezing came in. Just a question if the Wheezing can do anything to the Valiant. Beyond Will-O-Wisp. It'd be a waste to Shadow Ball. Is it a waste to Shadow Ball? The best play here is to comment against I can one-shot the Dragonite with Moonblast. Let's see. Strange team. Doesn't do a lot. Oh my fucking god. Valiant, please. Please give me a valiant effort here. Valiant, I really need you to come through. Even though, truth be told, I'm getting bailed by a really shitty play. Okay, I don't get the Dragonite play. I don't get the Dragonite play. Fortunately, Confusion, he has to boost her back with his Valiant. Hope for the best. Valiant, come through. Valiant, come through. Yes. Valiant's busted. Busted, man. This is too volatile, bro. It's too volatile. Like, there's nothing my opponent could have done to predict that situation. Like, there's so many possibilities. So I'm not even mad at them. Both opponents played their game better than I played mine. Like, I should have had way more of a dominant showing. And not to say like I didn't play to my outs, but it should have been, I was playing like utter dog shit and had to make it come down to where a lot of the win was in my opponent's hands, right? If they did a certain thing. And so that's never out. Same thing with the first game, saying. And so what I'm gonna do in this one is, if we pay attention to the pattern of what caused me to have been in those situations, didn't set a proper game plan. And a game plan is not, okay, this is the win con. Win cons are different from game plans. The game plan is the long-term strategy, right? A win con is just the destination or the objective. And so my long-term strategy was not set. That's because I didn't identify what the weak points were in my team and the weak points that were on his team. And so we're going to do that differently here, right? And so the weak points, as I look, he's very Iron Moth weak, right? And so what would need to happen for Iron Moth to not sweep? He'd need to be probably Choice Scarf, Scarlet. Rocks would need to not be up, but you know, he'd have to not be Terra on this, and you know, Terra this into fire or something, and then T-Wave me, right? And so we're gonna lean into the Iron Moth here. Dragapult, Shadow Ball is great, but Tinkaton is greater. He doesn't have the greatest fire resist after rocks go up. This is okay. I'm not gonna lie, Trailblaze when Skarm's chopped is really like Ogerpon's really good. Probably not sweeping, but it's really good. Valiant, Moonblast, 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 Shadow Ball. These two can stop my more so the Tinkaton, as we saw. I thought Valiant would 2 KO it, but that shit is a beast. Dragonite is solid, but not amazing. It could be a sweeping option, but it's not my first sweeping option. So we're going to pick the objective being to win with Iron Moth. And we're going to do so by having it matched up versus either late game Tinkaton, Skarmory, things of that nature. And so we need to, the conditions we need to get met are rocks. And so now we're going to identify, well, what am I weak to? What can I deal with? Kyurem. That's a motherfucking fact. And so we're going to get this party started in a way where the Kyurem, you know, only hold positions that cannot be, never hold positions that cannot be defended. So Kyurem versus Trez would have been a nightmare matchup for me. So now he starts off with his Great Tusk and he doesn't have any good fire resist. So I could Flamethrower, truth be told. It's a pretty safe. Meowscarada coming in, Tinkaton coming in. Tinkaton coming in means rocks. So I'm going to just Flamethrower here. This is a roll. Did not expect that to. This best bet would be to try. But Dragapult is a solid mon here. It'd be a waste to risk this roll when it's probably not in my favor. Because the Tinkaton would have to be in a position where, okay, well, you're either going to but again, this is key. What do we need to do to win this game? Iron Moth is the objective. And so we need to get these rocks up. So we're gonna go for Stealth Rock. I'm not trying to predict, not trying to play around. I'm very surprised he went for Stealth Rock. I don't think. I mean, went to Stealth Rock, went for Stealth Rock versus this thing that rapid spins. And so he's giving up his Skarmory's, what's it called? This puts me in a really good position unless does Skarm get defogged this meta? And so what this allows for me to go Dragapult. Now this is still generally sloppy. This is still me only thinking 1 to 2 turns ahead. I just don't have the metagame knowledge or the practice skills back yet. When my skills get to a certain point where I can see 2, 3, 4, but it's very much like boiling water, where, you know, for like, I think it doesn't start showing until I think 37 degrees or something like that. But before, from 0 to 36, you see no movement, and you're like, okay, this shit is whack, right? And so we're gonna just Shadow Ball here. Tinkaton is into a KO. Well, maybe not. This thing took a fire. Okay, it should be. I was gonna say this shit should be into a KO range by now. But it's not about the Tinkaton. We still have to focus. Iron Moth, Iron Moth, Iron Moth. What needs to happen for Iron Moth to succeed? Iron Moth. And so, honestly, it seems like a lot of the conditions are met right now. It seems that way, right? It seems that all I need to do, frankly, is just terrestrialize and I win. But it'll probably come down to a speed tie. I want my Valiant also is looking handsome. Dragonite's not getting past that Skarm, but maybe everything else. But Valiant's looking more and more handsome. And so the question is, okay, well, what this Meowscarada, what do I do versus this jam? This is where you allow shit to faint, my friends, because the treads is no longer necessary. Triple axles. That banded looks like it might be choice scarf. Not 100. We did talk about that, right? Like what needs to happen? The Meowscarada needs to be fucking scarfed. So I'll spin here. It's just the best play. The reason we're spinning is because if he goes to Skarm, it's set up fodder for the Moth. If he stays in and misses and I get the spike away, one, that's great. But also confirm next turn whether or not this shit is scarfed. I don't think it being scarf matters too much in this game, but if my Ogerpon does manage to get a trailblaze off, then it's useful. And it also helped me understand whether or not my Valiant is going to have the upper hand when I booster. Because let's say I booster and I Terra Ghost, which will probably have to happen because of his Moth. If this is Choice Scarf, then you lead D4. Guy's name is Uranate. That's a funny name. Alright, so as I said, let's practice. So we came back 3 games. Well, that one wasn't really a comeback, but what was I trying to say? Okay. And so back to assessment, but we did a better job in that game. So what did I learn in that game? Also, that's one thing I forgot to add. You're supposed to ask yourself, what did you learn or what did you do well? Particularly if you're in the beginning stage. Never ask yourself what you did wrong until you're probably either know the meta super well or you're in like the 1700s. Then you can start assessing, like, but just focus on what you learned and what you did well. One, it'll make you feel better because you're doing a million things wrong because you don't know what you don't know. And you have a lot of blind spots. Because I've done this process so many times, I know the equation to remove my own blind spots, but I'll maybe make a really long video one day to teach you guys how to get rid of the blind spots. But or to expose the blind spots, because blind spots are what are stealing. Blind spots that are caused by typically ego. Typically, not always, but typically. It's like, oh well, I don't, I'm not losing because of me. It's this game isn't for me, or it's like, no, bro, you're more than capable. But anyway, motivational speech aside, let's assess again. There's another case where Iron Moth could wash. I just hate Fiery Dance's volatility. But I'm getting better as I go at formulating game plans that don't depend on that. Dragonite is really good. Dragonite is really good. Threads is actually, funnily enough, legitimate. This is legitimate. This is legitimate. Didn't set a game plan yet because of the timer, so we're gonna pause for a moment. But what was happening there is that I scanned his team and I looked and I was like, okay, Dragonite either gonna break down the Great Tusk and Lando, but Dragonites, one of these are likely helmet. So I think Iron Moth might be a safer win con. It's gonna take a couple Sucker Punch wars with the Tusk and with the Gambit, but not if we time it well. Also, another option we have is the Valiant. I just don't have enough data and my brain isn't thinking far enough into the game to where I feel comfortable with that. So I know the Ogerpon is gonna get the U-turn chopped here. If he has the knockoff / play rough, he'll use it, but we're gonna have to have an Ogerpon off, unfortunately. Yeah. So I'm guessing either U-turn here or Power Whip. I'd prefer not to give up my Ogerpon, truth be told. Especially because I don't even think I can one-shot him. So, if he double knocks, that would be a very strange decision, but I figured U-turn would likely be the play. He has a great Tusk and a Lander, so I don't know if that's signaling, hey, I have a Choice Scarf knockoff or something like that, because Landers versus Dragapult is a wild decision. But he could also just not be thinking things through, like I was a couple games before. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna Draco Meteor, so it was Choice Scarf. Please hit. So that's disappeared. The Lander is gone, which opens up my Dragonite. So this is another thing you want to do. Every KO, or really every turn, but if it's in the beginning, every KO you reassess. Okay, since Landorus is gone, and since that's been confirmed Choice Scarf, what is now possible that wasn't before? And so if I look at his team, my Iron Tread is actually pretty dangerous beast. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And so Slowking Galar is wonderful because it lures in. It's likely going to be my my treads. And so this is a case where you think things through, right? I'm gonna go Ogre Pawn 1 because it's not as necessary, but more importantly, I didn't expect flamethrower there, truth be told. But more importantly, I actually anticipated Ivory Culture is unnecessary. I actually probably should not have gone Trez here. I don't think he risks his Ogre Pawn though. Yeah, he goes for Sludge Bomb. But this repositions things a bit. And what this does is it allows for can rock stack here. What conditions do I need, man? Actually, Earthquake is better here. He does stand. They love doing that. Love doing okay. Okay. Big burn, but I have to play a little bit differently because of that. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Gambit was a risky ass play right there. The reason is because now if I go, he can just go Tusk and Infinite Spin. And there's nothing I can do. I've confirmed the Gambit was Balloon, which is useful. The Tusk and the Slow King is weakened. And so conditions are starting to be met for my, remember we talking about Iron Moth, Iron Moth, Iron Moth. Now, Dragonite is an option. Dragonite is most definitely an option. It's very unlikely I'll be getting up the Stealth Rocks this game. So, the Gambit low kicks, it's fine. And this is an interesting turn, right? Because Iron Moth is actually in the best position for success. But it just puts a lot of power in the opponent's hands if I don't get the you-know-what. I do get the you-know-what for once. So this is Assault Vest, which means probably Psychic move. Let's see. So this allows me to maim a lot of his team, even if I lose my you know what I'm saying. It puts him in a position where, one, he can probably only go for Headlong Rush on the Tusk. Probably could Ice Spinner. It wouldn't KO me though. Surprised he went to Raging Bolt. I mean, you must Terrestrialize. I'm surprised he went Raging Bolt. Sweet Terra is in, it's probably Terra Fairy. Why did you go Raging Bolt? Dragon Pulse. You don't usually see that. Unless he's be choice specs and he just didn't want to Terra there. I can afford to sub one more turn, right? That's what happened. So I was like, I can afford to sub one more turn to go Gambit. And now he doesn't sucker. So I'll just Fiery Dance directly. If he suckers, good play. Good play. That was a risky play. If I sub there, you lose the game. But I've confirmed the Terra Fairy. He actually played that very well. Could I have afforded to sub one more time? Yes. I wouldn't have suckered that turn, but it worked for him. If I sub, he loses immediately. Like he cannot win. But maybe that's what he's thinking. He's like, fuck it. I'm gonna lose the game anyway. So I might as well. Now, let's think. I could go Valiant here and his Raging Bolt is a big problem now because of that. And I actually might just lose now. It's gonna be close. Depends on what he does with because the Tusk can come in. The Raging Bolt's a huge problem now. I think I can take Ice Spinner. I'm at 100. Rapid Spins. Rapid Spin was a fine play there. Let me think this through. Does Rapid Spinning again make sense? No, it doesn't make a difference. He does it, but it doesn't make a difference. It didn't need a Rapid Spin there. Oh blast directly. He does go for rush, which gives up the tusk. I wouldn't have sacked the tusk. So Raging Bolt comes in and he can go for the Thunderclap. I doubt he'd use it. But Encore, he's fucked. Means blast. But what do I need? I need for him to choke anyway. Okay, Thunderbolted. So this was I had the game in the bag with my Iron Moth. He took the necessary risk he needed to take and it paid off. Whoa, that one shot me? How did that one shot me? I'm inner focus. Holy shit, let me change this. Okay. Actually, I just fucking no. Did I just throw? I think I just threw. Not before that. Meaning he Dragon Pulsed there. I could have went Valiant and Encored. And I had a shot to outplay with Calm Minds, but yeah, whatever. The game plan now, what was good about that is the game plan was fine, but the end game execution was not foolproof enough. And so, but let's say for example, the turn that he went to Gambit, there are two turns I could have won the game. The turn he switched from Raging Bolt to Gambit, because he took a lot of high risk plays, but he was going to get swept anyway. So he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to click something. And I made the more aggressive play before I needed to make a play that aggressive. In fact, I could have just switched out my fucking Moth. My Moth still swept him. So I didn't even need to take that risk, but I got so caught up in the moment and I didn't make the best possible play. And so you do a replay review typically and be like, oh, okay, we could have done that there. We took unnecessary risk there. But if I switch on the turn, if I sub on the turn, he switches to the Raging Bolt, he loses. So yeah, take the lesson there, move forward, boom, boom, boom. So very similar situation in this one, but we're gonna lean way more into Dragonite in this game. And so it's a question of what condition needs to be met. I can't have grassy terrain up for the Gambit. We may just have balloons. Anyway, we need to beat down that Great Tusk, right? Doesn't guard well against fire. And he doesn't guard well against my Moth as well, but yes, the mid. Deoxys is an interesting line. Either way, Iron Moth is actually great. I'm glad to see Iron Moth here. Draco Meteor the best player, Shadow Ball the best player. If he has Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball better. Please do not get it. Thank you. 2 KO Shadow. I'm really glad he did the Moth, because if you notice, he doesn't have anything for my Moth. No good fire resist outside of Greninja. No fire resist, good fire resist. And so does not get the 10% Sludge Wave chance. And so as we said, when something dies, you reevaluate and say, okay, well, what does that mean now? Iron Moth is gone. Does that open up anything? Yes, it means that he can't switch into my Valiant whatsoever, right? And so this Deoxys, I'm not even sure what Deoxys does. A knock, maybe? Ice Beam, okay. It's Life Orb. I am faster than this Deoxys. Is Rocks more important or is the damage more important? Does Rocks secure any KO? Not as much. That's not as good as getting this damage off with Earthquake. It's offensive Deoxys. He might not even be able to knock me out, honestly, other than Focus Blast. So I could get my best of both worlds, getting the Rocks up here. Rocks and, but it's better to Earthquake here and then Stealth Rock the next turn. Especially because if he goes for the attack here and doesn't knock me out, it's more likely he'll switch the next turn, and we prefer the next turn switch because Dragapult loses to Boom, Shuriken Grin. So yeah, superpower. Shuriken Grin, Deoxys, Sucker Punch, and it literally doesn't even KO the Tusk unless I Draco Meteor. So this is a great trade for us. We want to keep Ogerpon at the utmost for Greninja. Oh shit, my game is starting to come back. I just felt a click. I just felt a click, guys. I remember back in the day when I'd be... The reason I just felt a click is I keep Ogerpon at health for blank. The only way those... Is this helmet? Okay. The only way that thought process comes to my mind is when I'm in a place where I know what things are gonna do, because I've been fucked up by the Greninjas, right? I've been there, done that, done the Greninja. Flamethrower here is always the play because there's nothing the Great Tusk can do. We don't want Gambit mindlessly coming in for free, and just because one, it's gonna get the free SD and then it's gonna kowtow, and it's just a little more problematic. Whereas all we need is the damage on the Tusk for our Dragonite to sweep. So it's like figuring out what's the next step. Now it's just likely gonna sack his. It's likely gonna just sack his Deoxys, but I don't want a U-turn here. I don't trust it enough. If I knew sack Deoxys, U-turn would be the play. Be better if I'm positioned, because now he gets to go to Greninja, and that forces in my Ogerpon Wellspring as he Dark Pulses. But since I have my Terra Normal Dragonite, I'm not overly concerned about that. But the key was to keep the Ogerpon at the utmost of health for the Grin. I could also not go Ogerpon and just go for Trailblaze. Even if he gets the boost, Ogerpon will survive any hit and go for Trailblaze and put him in the dirt. Well, Valiant is way better. Valiant CM, not even CM. Valiant Moonblast cannot be guarded against. What's it called? I'm trying to say here. And now he just Dark Pulses. Get to a killed by Dark Pulse. Is Valiant actually better? No, Encore Valiant. If he's... Is Valiant better? Valiant might be better. I like the Encore. What I'll end up doing here is I'll Valiant first. I don't think I can even die to anything other than like a Life Orb Hydro Pump or something like that. Right. And so this allows for me to, because if I go Ogerpon, one, you can never water move there. But if I go Ogerpon directly, it puts me in a weird position. Right. And I quad resist there. I could Encore, but that water move I think goes first. Rillaboom takes 58. I think you gotta be banded to kill me. If he Terras, then I'd go Moth. It worth. It worth taking the damage here. The thing is that if he doesn't KO me, do I need to go Moth yet? Yeah, I'll take the Moth Grassy Terrain. I like keeping the Encore tucked. And I think this puts me outside of Grins. Well, I guess if the Grin gets a million Water Shurikens, it doesn't matter. Does Glide? Oh, I should have subbed then. My play was to sub, but I'll just go hard Ogerpon. Again, because I have the extreme speed, the sub, but these Sucker Punch games and all that, Moth forces the Gambit to lock in the Sucker. The Ogerpon is literally just there for the Greninja. I think in a position like this, it might be useful to... Do I even need to fucking predict? You need a lot of Water Shurikens to kill me. I think you need 5. And even if he were to get it, what's my worst case scenario? My worst case scenario is him Dark Pulsing here and 2 killing my Ogerpon versus, and then at that point I have the Terror and all that stuff, and if he's some weird Terror Ghost, I'm fucked. So Shuriken, maybe he didn't need as many as I thought. Okay, he didn't get them. Yeah, because I was like, it'd be too big of a hassle. So now Gambit has to Sucker Punch, which I'm fine with, and my Valiant gets to Encore, and that's it. Because he probably Terras. I could see him going back straight Tusk, but Tusk doesn't help because I have Moonblast. Unless, is it Balloon? Air Balloon, okay. Unless this Tusk, did he Terra yet? Nothing Terra yet. I guess this could be like Terra Steel or something. Terra Ground, fuck. Rapid Spin. I'm actually really glad that he went for spin there. But I don't know why he'd Rapid Spin. That was a waste of a play. And he Terra'd, which is great. So we'll just Trailblaze, doesn't really matter what I go for here. cudgel. In case he randomly switches out the tusk into gambit, we can do the maximal amount. So yeah, so he headlong rushes, and one thing I did really well, a lot better in this game, is I accounted for the worst case scenarios a lot better because they got me before, right? And so we can just infinite sucker, not infinite sucker, meaning like lock him into sucker punch, and then just stall. How does this work again? Well, sucker punch won't kill me from based on how much he just did, but I'm thinking how much if can you encore the person into sucker if, well, it doesn't matter, I crit him there. No, that's not why I said it doesn't matter, but I was gonna say it doesn't matter because I don't think if Ironhead did 33, sucker is weaker than Ironhead. It might have been like a no attack gambit. What the hell was that? He didn't sucker anyway, but I was thinking like a sucker probably misses the KO barely. I get the EQ damage, and then I just earthquake him. I just earthquake him into, you know what I'm saying? Lock him in a sucker, and because of the resist, because what I'm thinking is like if they run out of PP for sucker, do they struggle? So no clean win this entire live, and the one we were supposed to win the most is the one we lost. Except that one was fairly a little more straightforward, but as you can see, they're incremental improvement as we go. And now this is not the greatest team ever, which is part of the process, right? I don't want, because you remember the Iron Veil, Aurora Veil team that was just blown. If I use the Aurora Veil offense squad, we just get a ton of points. But I know my skills are what I want to sharpen, and the best way for me to test that is to use a team that has a lot of things that could go wrong if you don't play it right, and it punishes you if you don't play properly, and so that I can go back and go, all right, bet. So if I were to scan this again, Off is decent. It's not amazing. It's not amazing. Yes, 2 to 3 forms of priority potentially. Dragonite's very good. Dragonite could sweep depending on if this is how early we get a Terra, things of that nature. Iron Valiant is quite handsome as well. This is not an easy game. What's good is fucking Treads. Treads is really good. Treads is really good. I'll have to really double down on this one if I don't get this right. Primarina, if I let the Primarina lead and I don't deal with it properly, he's gonna fuck me. And so Primarina is the biggest problem. Second is the Roaring Moon. If he leads the Roaring Moon, so be it. And so this is an interesting situation, right? Because now, the one you wouldn't be expecting Trailblaze, which I figured. So I'd likely go to something that he's like, okay, well, which is Cinderace is a wild play, but that just goes to show how susceptible this is. Anybody else's T-Wave sensor stingling? When that shit does 44%, you know T-Wave is coming your way. And so this is a case where Swords Dance would be super beneficial, but I just do not trust that this thing doesn't have T-Wave. And so this is where we assess, okay, if I were to Swords Dance, I'd get the Golden Gogon, but I'd give up something that's relatively dangerous, and the Primarina would be opened up a lot. And so we got a lot of value, we got a lot of data. And so instead I'm gonna go to Treads. He didn't have T-Wave, so I could have, but I weighed the risk versus reward, it wasn't worth it. And so this is a position where I can just Earthquake freely. Rocks are nice, but one, Primarina is likely to, these motherfuckers like to stay in with their Goldango. Unless this is Balloon. If it's Balloon Gambit, this is, maybe I should think about this. If it's Balloon Gambit, that's a problem. I get almost no value. Yeah, I knew he'd leave the golden go in, but it wasn't about him, because I don't know why the fuck he'd be leaving it in anyway. So he's gonna take 160 from the spinner. Dragonite range. Earthquake here or not. Right. I'm guessing this is Terra Ghost. I don't get this. I really want to go to my Dragonite here, but he might knock. Knock does KO. I didn't expect it to. And this doesn't make sense unless you're Terra Ghost. Okay. It's Terra Ghost does Earthquake KO. I guess if it doesn't KO, it doesn't matter anyway, right? I lost. I think Earthquake does at least 41%. I'd be hard pressed to assume Terra Ghost. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So look at that. Me learning from previous that would have fucked me up a couple lives ago. I would have been done. And so that's what when I said in the last game, we're like, oh, keep this for this. I'm like, oh, it's starting to click. Because now I can perceive what's going to happen, because I'm getting to the point where I've seen most, well, I can't tell if I've seen most things, but it feels that way. Let's just go with that. Dragapult's mid, completely unnecessary. I'm like, not completely unnecessary. This must be Wisp. This doesn't make a lot of sense as a mon to go into next. So I'm debating whether or not Pult would be superior. Again, his Gambit is quite problematic. I'm actually gonna go Moth. And my reason being here, I'm not expecting Moth to die or anything like that. What I am expecting is probably a Primarina Hard Switch or a U-turn. Yeah, which doesn't do shit to me. This allows for me to Sludge Wave, break that multi-scale. We might even get a Poisoning now. He's gonna be at... He's already terrestrialized. My Moth is too good, and we already confirmed Dragapult's not necessary. And so this allows for us to U-turn. Do I need my booster on my Valiant? I do not. Marina should come in. I wasn't doing that because I was predicting though. It was just the correct play in a situation like this. And Trailblaze here is great. Trailblaze here is great. Very likely the Dragonite comes in and you're not going to expect me to have something to touch it. Oh, he does E-speed straight up. The Dragonite gets clapped though, which opens up my fiery monster more. And so what this does is it allows for me to go to Pult, Sucker Punches, and I figured he wouldn't Sucker Punch, but it wasn't because I predicted him there. It wasn't. I really want to make those moments clear. It wasn't like, oh, I just, damn, you're reading him like a book. No, that was just a situation where the risk versus reward was in my favor, and there's not too much for me to lose. And so now at this point, my Dragonite is going to get to a point where it can just extreme speed destroy. I haven't terrestrialized yet. So I can extreme speed destroy, or my Iron Moth can come in and just wash his sins away. Really. And so Power Ball, problem. Moth is straight. I don't need anything. I could go Shadow Ball, but that'd be a waste. I think Moth will get to a KO here. That does nothing. Zero ground, the best play. He's Libero though. Sucker Punch coming in. Because Terra Blast would just seal the deal. Actually, I just need the Fire Dance. I don't need any damage. Fire Dance is my best player. He should go Gambit. Yeah. I was concerned about it. If I Sludge Wave and he goes Gambit, it causes Sucker Punch problems. Whereas the way it is now, Sludge Wave, yeah, survive, which is blessed. So we managed the pieces a lot better in that game, if you noticed. A lot better piece management. It's like, okay, we need this for this, we need to account for this for this. And so we didn't unnecessarily, because what I was noticing is that I'm unnecessarily throwing mons into things out of autopilot. So you notice how different the games are going here compared to, that's why we call this training, right? Compared to the beginning. And I was like thinking about it, I'm like, I just gotta sit down and get through the work. Like I can't, like, okay, well, because I just don't know what things do. And it's causing us to lose games that seem, and I'm playing sloppily, a lot of them. And so we just gotta tighten up. And that takes practice. It takes practice. So as we assess this situation, I guess Dragonite is the man again, like the third, fourth Dragonite I've seen. Trez is great here, but Tusk is, and these two on lead would be devastating. Polt's amazing. Dragonite is the best win con here. The conditions I need met would be Tusk getting weakened. For Tusk to get weakened, I just need to have my Treads in an Earthquake repeatedly. He doesn't have any good Transition, and he doesn't want rocks going up. So, okay, phase 1 is going to involve, unless this is Scarf, the Darkrai. If it's Scarf, well, this is going to be a bitch, but I'll have the data. I really do want my Polt to be on. Okay, it's not Scarf. Maybe he'll still Wisp. I doubt it though. I'm surprised he did that because that could have been Dark Pulse. I mean, not Dark Pulse, you get what I'm saying. The Earthquake's actually good here. One, I know that you're going to stand. What? Everybody just mindlessly rocks. Everybody thinks everybody else is going to mindlessly rock. If this has CC, I'm in trouble. But my Ogerpon is very, very good here. He could Rapid Spin, expecting me to rocks into... him rapid spinning would be a slight problem, but I guess not, considering Ogerpon is going to be, he already outspeeds. If he goes for the spin, he goes for the spin. I just need the damage. He does spin. Okay, I wasn't 100% on what he'd do. So speed boosting, I'll just be able to, I didn't want Ogerpon taking the damage, so he's speed spamming. Okay, I mean spin spamming, as this allows for us the Ivy Cudgel. He could go hard his Wellspring. That's a risky ass play if I have Power Whip. And so the Dragonite is in. The Dragonite is now a couple options here. If it is E-Speed, because if you look at his team, my Moth, if I force the Terra on this, my Moth eats him, right? So him going Gomora was interesting. Cannot afford to miss this. If I don't miss, I get a lot of damage. I get a lot of damage there. I know he's dragging this thing. Mine doesn't live. I get a lot of damage there. And he's in E-Speed range. He'd need to Terra to kill me, I think, or he'd go for let's say he Dragon Dances again. Terra's and Dragon Dances again. Can I get out of that situation? Not if he's Jolly. Terra Fairy. Moonblast. Terra Fairy. What? Okay. Interesting. I get to go Moth. He probably didn't want to terrestrialize there, and I get that. I need to weaken his Tusk so my Dragonite can counter sweep. Or my Valiant. More Dragonite than anything. But I have quite a few options here. Terra Fairy, Terra Blast Fairy. That's quite interesting. Quite interesting. I'm glad I went for, because I expected it to be, so I know Tusk is coming in. It was really just a question of what I wanted to do to Tusk. Right, if I want to. So Fiery Dance means my Dragonite destroys. So let me think. if I were to go hard Polt isn't necessary. I'll go hard Polt here, let him headlong rush. And this puts me in a position where I can just U-turn. No, Shadow Ball is my best play. Doesn't matter. Primarina is something I actually want to come in. The Dragonet, Primarina, because the Primarina is going to be fodder for my, yeah. Because I was thinking about it, I was like, is there, basically what I was thinking about, is there a way for my Dragonet not to sweep him? I don't think he should have forfeited. This was definitely a potentially losable game. But I guess based on how he saw me playing, he's like, okay, well, you know, but nah, bro, I'm still rusty as fuck. Like, I'm super rusty still. So you could have played that out, truth be told. And because it's taking way too much brain power for me to process a basic game right now. But it'll get to the point. If you remember, all I can say is if you remember the road to top 10 where Garganical, I was using that one Garg team and I was like, I was just in the 1700s, the 1800s for the, like the low 1800s, 17. And I think I had taken a break or it was a new metagame. I don't remember which one it was. And I just played between there and I was like, literally all I'm doing is I'm gonna get surprised by everything under the sun. Come with it, hit me, boom, boom, boom. And it got to the point where they hit me so many times that I was like, yeah, you can't surprise me anymore. And then that's when we went from like high 1700s to I think number 5 with maybe 1 loss, max 2. I think we went from there to number 1 with maybe 2 losses. Right, and so that's the difference knowledge makes. It's everything. It's the ultimate pillar, and then the skill, which is the critical thinking aspect, comes after that. But I was like, I want to show this because I don't want guys to think like, oh, you know, people are just more like, bro, you literally saw me come from low 1600s getting clapped in each game. We're like, okay, I'll play less and boom, boom, boom. Let's see. Until you get to unconscious competence, because that's the goal, right? My Valiant's good, but I don't want to play speed tie games with his. Unless he Terra's first. It's not something I want to bet on, because I'd have to Terra to pick up a lot of these KOs. So Valiant's very, he has a Garchomp though. My Moth is good. That's a Dragonite. My Dragonite is probably the best bet, unless this is Terra goes. I need a terrestrialization to occur very early. So I'm going to attack this guy with a Furiosity like he's never seen before. Why? Because I have to. Now, one thing that's interestingly good is treads. And so in a case like this, what I'm going to end up doing is Garchomp. Nobody runs Sash Garchomp. Sash Glim. What I'm gonna interestingly do is I'm gonna go on the offense. There's just no reality where this is a Sash Garchomp. Even if it's a Sash Garchomp, there's no reality where this Garchomp has a dragon move. Well, I guess it could have Scale Shot, but if you're Scale Shot, you're what's his face? That one move, that one item. There goes Gambino. Which you already know we don't believe in switch-ins for Gambit. So Treads is the mon to come in here, but it's not the ideal. Treads are gonna take about half. I can see him going back to Chomp. It's not okay, I do it. It does a little below half. So this is great. This is actually really good. We've seen this happen time and time again. I'm very tempted to Earthquake, more so because I'm anticipating Garchomp. I get a lot of value if I Earthquake into Stealth Rock versus Stealth Rock into Earthquake, because the next turn he can Sucker Punch. Whereas now, if I Earthquake directly, I don't think he leaves this in though. Even if he leaves it in, I'll be fine. But it's a very, if he goes Goldengo, I'll just get. Actually, I'll Earthquake. I'll Earthquake. The risk versus reward is better. Okay, so he's gonna give. Why would he? Okay, that was a very. I'm actually very glad that I Earthquaked, because now I get everything. Now this is a big problem for my. Since the rocks were literally for the Gomorrah, unless the Dragonite's not multi-scale boots. But the Garchomp is a really big nuisance to my Iron Moth, and so what we're gonna actually do is prioritize one shot. Oh, I did not expect that to die. I'm used to Garchomp living everything under the sun. It's Balloon Dengo. It's fine. We're just gonna rocks here now. Now we stop and assess and go. Okay, well, what is the condition of the game? What's no longer in play, and what do we need to do to finish this off, right? So if I go Iron Moth here, I'm staring down Dragonite, and if I'm staring down Dragonite, what does that look like after that? And is that the most ideal situation? Alternatively, I could go to my Ogerpon, because again, we want to hold positions that cannot be defended. Alternatively, we could go to Ogerpon, and what's it called? An Ivy Cudgel. The reason the Ivy Cudgel is not because I think it's gonna KO him, is because Ogerpon is the hardest thing for him to switch out on. Moth, his Dragonite can become a little problematic if I don't play well around the Moth. If I don't play with Moth. And Moth is just good versus everything else. So what I'll do is I'll use the Moth to lure out his Dragonite. He could also just stay in with the Goldengo, truth be told. But yeah, lures out the Dragonite, breaks the multi-scale. Breaks the multiverse. Earthquakes, right. This is the sequence I expected. If he were to stay, I need Ice Spinner. He wouldn't Dragon Dance. Even if he were to Dragon Dance, that's fine. Because I had to weigh the risk versus reward there. Even if he were to stay, I can go hard Ogerpon. He'd have to terrestrialize or it'd be crazy. But to be able to go, I'd be able to go hard Ogerpon. So now this is blessed. I just don't. The Goldengo still has its balloon, so I can't go Dragonite freely. I can't go Valiant yet. I'd actually like to keep the Ogerpon at full. And Moth makes Dragonite come back in for free. But the Gambit wasn't a bad play. Gambit was not a bad play. I'm very tempted to just Swords Dance here. I'm really tempted to Swords Dance because there's almost a 0% chance he goes for Kowtow. But what I don't trust is the Kowtow damage. I'd rather have... Okay. He's not going to anticipate player off. Please hit. Right there. X marks the spot. Okay, that worked out even better. I understand why I'd want to keep the Gambit though. So we Cudgel here for the what's it called damage? For the Iximu Blast. I could have player off him. Knocked him out. This is no longer necessary. We go E-speed. And then he'd have to booster. He could, if he Terras, that's okay. Dragonite is not necessary anymore anyway. If he's Terra Ghost, that means Moth eats. So yeah, you go Goldengo. And now you've given up the booster, which means my Valiant has the edge. But we're gonna keep the multi-scale, obviously. They're always keeping the multi-scale. But now my Moth, did I go Moth already? Yeah, I went Moth already. Now I go Dragapult and go Moth and Fiery Dance directly. If he gives up the balloon on this, he's cooked. Did he Terra yet? He has not Terra yet. He's potentially trying to keep the Terra on the falling for Sucker would be a bit. Must have terrestrialization. The way he's playing Ironhead. Okay. That makes Ironhead's a good play there. Because you cover all your bases. What I'm worried about is the because I could technically just let him sucker. Yeah. I could technically have let him sucker, and so we learned from the last time, right? Because we have all the leverage here. We learned from the last time, because if he tears here, he loses. But we learned from the last time, if we have all the leverage, don't rush the sucker because you're trying to flex, right? Like, we lost a very easy game. The one game I think we did lose was to that, but the lesson came back and paid back right now. So it's been an hour 10, puts us at 17:43. I've been playing for like 4 hours. But yeah, that's where we're gonna end it today. Hopefully this was useful, and I'll keep doing these long lives. I may have another long one tomorrow. That's what she said, actually. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button if you actually enjoyed this. You made it this far, and I'll see you tomorrow or next day.